Hi, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. Happy new month. Happy Tuesday to everyone. I welcome everyone today on this special day, on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. And I say, if you are new to my channel, a very special welcome to you. And just know you are watching Love and Kids World. Yeah. And my name is Lovely. So a very special welcome to everyone who's stopping my channel on the first time, for the first time. And to our returning subscribers, I always say I thank you guys for the constant support. So, guys, today I am here with another topic. Yes, I always bring this topic so we can all join and learn, unlearn, and grow. Yes, that's just the reason for me bringing these topics and also to connect and make new friends. I can see one person joining, like, can just drop a comment, let me know who you are and where you are watching me from. Welcome everybody. If we are not friends, make sure you connect with me first and also share the live stream if you have a community. Yeah. Also don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, guys. Yes, so today, guys, I have a topic here that I'll be sharing with you my experience as a growing up in a polygamous home, how to deal with conflict in any relationship or in your home, or how to handle arguments in the presence of your kids. So yes, before I go talk about this topic, while I wait for more people to join, I would also like to share this video so more people can join us. So guys, as you join, make sure you share this video so others can join us. Thank you. I'm just trying to share, guys, as we wait for more people to join before I start sharing my own opinion about this topic. That's how it grows here. Always have to share my own opinion, then I'll also give room for more people to share their own opinions about the topic as well. And while I wait, I'll also go ahead to share the links in case anybody needs to join. I just hope this network will not fail me today, guys. Okay, I'll pin the link. Okay, once more, welcome everybody. Nice to have you guys here today on this special day, first day of the month of February. I welcome everybody and I say happy new month to you all as you join. Please, if you'll be watching this video for like a replay, I'll appreciate if you share your opinion about this topic in the comment section, which I'll really appreciate to read and to reply to you. And I'll invite everyone who will be joining me to also make sure you contribute on this topic. Share your contribution in the comment section, which I'll also be able to read and expatiate or throw more light on it or respond to it if it's a question. Yeah, so this topic, I thought of this just because as a mom or as a wife, I have I always like, sometimes I have an argument with my husband in front of my kids, which is just normal. And coming from where I'm coming from, like, I am from a polygamous home. For those who know me, my dad got married to three wives, and yes, I can't really recall any incident or any time that I've seen my mom argue with my dad. To be honest with you guys, I cannot recall any time I've ever seen my mom really having like an argument with my dad. But on numerous occasions, like my mom was like always having arguments with my stepmom, and I'm here today just to share some of the lessons I learned from their arguments, and which I've been applying in my own home and with my kids. And I believe every parent should have some of these rules that they should use to apply in their homes. So my mom, as I said, always argue with my stepmom, and like so many times. And what I cannot recall is there's never a day like I step in, like a stepmom arguing with your own mom, and maybe me like stepping in to support my own mom, or my step siblings stepping in to support their own mom. I cannot recall that as well. And it's something that we have to do that in our own homes. If you are having an argument with your partner, your kids should not be part of it. We should always make that very clear to our kids that arguing with your daddy or your husband is kind of none of their business, even though you can do that maybe in front of them. So that being said, I'm saying that it is okay for parents, for couple to argue in front of their kids, but based on the 3 points I'll be explaining here, that is the only situation you can argue in front of your kids. So as I'm saying that, like my mom, they used to argue, but I cannot recall any time that we step in to support our moms, you know. And I can remember like our moms, they used to be like very close. Even after their argument, they'll still sit in the same and eat in the same plate. That was how beautiful their arguments were. Like, and the lessons I learned from their arguments were that, like, they argue about something, which I think that is another great way for parents to argue, in the sense that you argue based on something, or like you disagree on something, so you should tackle the problem at hand, not the other person, because that is the main cause of conflict in relationship. Because when there's a problem, you don't tackle that problem, you start attacking by the person. So that was one lesson I learned from my stepmom and my mom when they used to argue, like they'll always argue about something, but I will never hear them. I cannot recall like my mom calling my stepmom names, or my stepmom calling my mom names, you know. And that was a great lesson for me, and that is I am applying that in my own home, you know. Then the second lesson I learned from them was that, oh, Kiki, welcome, dear, welcome. Happy New Month. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. Yeah. So I am discussing this topic today. Like, is it okay to argue in front of your kids? I am just sharing my experience growing up in a polygamous home, and I was saying I cannot recall any time that my mom like had an argument with my dad, but I can recall so many incidents, like so many times that my mom had an argument with my stepmom. And I'm just like sharing the lessons I learned from their arguments. Happy New Month, host. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I was saying that what I learned from my mom and my stepmom's argument was that they never uh, they never argue or about something and like insulting their persons. Like, what, I don't know if you get what I mean. They always argue on something, and they focus more on what they're arguing about, which I think is a great way to implement in our homes. Like if you have an argument with your partner, because our kids, they listen, they learn a lot from us, so our kids should be able to understand that you guys are arguing about a particular something, not like arguing and insulting each other. Yes, so another lesson I learned from them was that they never like invited us to join in their arguments. Like sometimes I would call my mom, they'll be arguing, like my stepmom was able to really, yeah, she was really loud. She was that person, like naturally she talks so loud. So at some point, like even when I was little then, thanks for the shared Kiki, yeah, I would see like my stepmom was kind of too loud on my mom, but I was like so worried. But my mom would say, just stay there. So that was another lesson I learned from them, that they don't allow kids to get into their issues. So as I said, I've never recalled any incident where my moms were arguing and me or my step sisters or my step siblings stepping in to support their moms. Yeah. So that was a lesson to me, and that's what I'm applying in my own home too. My kids, they can hear me and my husband argue in front of them, but they know it's mommy and daddy's thing, right? It's mommy and daddy having that conflict. Like I don't support that situation where you having an issue with your wife, and or maybe you guys are exchanging words and the kids are stepping in, or just, I mean, dropping some words in. As the kids grow older, they understand a lot. So we should never give that room for our kids to step in to support either mommy or daddy. So that was another lesson I learned from my mom and my stepmom having an argument. Another lesson I learned from them was that uh yeah, as a polygamous home, like those from Cameroon, my mom, they used to go out even after an argument. They still, if they have like a place to go, like they'll still prepare their food. Like my mom, they used to go, like if they have like a day celebration in the village, they'll just prepare their food and put in the same basket, and maybe one person will carry and the other person just follow and they go. And when they are coming back home, whatever they are bringing from that event, they come and share. They'll sit in one of our mom's houses, like anyone who came home with the basket, right? And they'll share everything. So I was like, the another lesson was that they could argue now, even before going out for that event, but just as they have argued like that, it doesn't like end up like they were able to still do their things normally. So because it's okay to have an argument with somebody. And it's the same thing, you should have an argument with your partner, and it should not be like that's the end of the road. Because if you do that, it's gonna have a blockage in so many ways. You'll not be able to treat your kids so well. So overall, I am in the opinion that it is okay to argue in front of the kids, but we have to respect those 3 points which I'll be explaining here as we as as we continue talking. Yeah. So when I got married, like I was like, I don't even want I wanted an argument free home for my for my home, right? And I wanted an argument free home, but at some point, for the first years, it was kind of good. When kids started having kids, like things became they were changing. We do argue sometimes just because of kids, and yes, I just came to realize that argument or conflict is just part of life, and there's no way I would say my kids never know that we argue, right? So the best thing is for us to learn how to manage those arguments, those conflicts, and our kids should understand that conflict is part of marriage, and we should just look for the best way to manage the conflict in a calm and polite way. So our kids should also learn it is very wrong to do it in front of your children. Exactly. Yeah, it is wrong, but I bet you all it will happen in front of them. It's just how you manage it. That will be the problem. So I have 3 points here that I'll be explaining, like in addition to those lessons I learned from my mom and my stepmom argument, that we have to not let our kids be part of our argument. We have to learn that if you argue, it's not the end of the war. Things life should continue after the argument, and we also learn that we should not let kids take sides in our argument. Yeah. So I have 3 points that are here to support that it's okay to argue in front of our kids. I know, Kiki, you said it is not okay to argue in front of them, but I'm here in the opinion that because everybody will say it is not okay, but there is no way you can say you are having kids and you not argue in front of them. That is just like, I don't know. It's not possible. You always argue in front of kids. That is very possible, and we just have to look for ways on of how to manage the way we argue in front of them. So I have 3 points here. That the first point is respect is non-negotiable. As I said, there's no way you say you will not argue in front of your kids. Yes, those arguments will come up, and you should make sure you handle it in a respectful way. Yeah, because our kids, they learn from us. Because if you say you never argue in front of them, always argue in the room, the kids will just think that they'll understand that this life is just so easy. They should know that even in their personal lives, or even at school, they'll encounter people that they'll have conflicts. They should be able to know how to manage these conflicts. So that is my standpoint of saying that we can argue in front of them, just as a learning curve for them. They should be able to learn from us, being able to argue and resolve, or having issues, or to disagree and agree in front of them. That way, they will also learn to understand that those things will always happen, and they should know how to manage them. As I said, if you come to my house, I always say so many times, I always talk to my first two kids that it's okay. It's okay to disagree, but you should be able to handle it in a nice way, in a calm way. You should be able to disagree and resolve the problem without like making somebody cry. That's how I always talk to my kids, just to let them know that conflict is part of life. There's no way you can say you avoid that you never have conflict with somebody. You can have conflict with your classmate, you can have conflict with your colleague at work. That's just something you cannot avoid. So us parents, if you are just saying that it is not good to argue in front of kids, I understand that level of argument that we all we mean, like, but we should be able to be responsible to be able to argue in front of them, argue on a particular something, not like attacking our persons. That's what I mean. You should argue in front of them, but they should know that mommy and daddy are arguing on this thing, and they are trying to resolve this thing. Yeah. And a big official, welcome there. Hi, host, everyone. Thumbs up. Thank you so much. Please share me out if you have a community. I would really appreciate it. I want more people to join us too, so we can discuss this topic. Yeah. So I was saying that we have to conflict is something you cannot avoid in marriage. It will always come up, and there's no way you say you will never argue in front of your kids. That is just something that people always say. Yeah, it's not. Is of course it is not good to argue in front of kids, in the sense that it just depends on the way you argue. If you argue in front of kids, like throwing insult, like or fighting, like physical fighting, it is not good, which I am totally against that. But look at it in the way that doing that in front of them, you should do it in a very calm and responsible way. You should be respectful to their partner. That is just teaching them to understand that they'll encounter conflict. That conflict is just a natural part of marriage. It's something that will always happen in marriages. And that they will learn from you, and when they grow up, they'll be able to manage their own conflicts in their own homes. But if you just like say, don't argue in front of them, argue in the room, and they don't even know what is happening, they'll just think that life is just like so rosy, like they will never have any conflict. And even with kids, they have their own conflicts, and we should always step into to support them, let them know that it is okay to have to disagree to one another. but they should know how to handle that situation. As I said, my parents, my stepmom and my mom, they used to argue, and what I learned from them was that they were able to focus on what they are disagreeing on. They don't like insult each other, throwing personal insult to the other person. They were able to focus on what they are disagreeing on, and that is what we should make sure our kids should be aware of. That they should know that those conflicts will come, but they should be able to manage them well, respectfully. And how, as I said, respect is non-negotiable means that if you're having an argument with your partner, both of you should be able to understand that you have to respect each other. If you see me looking on my left, I have some points I've noted down on my book here. Yeah, just to make sure I don't forget something. Yeah, yeah. You have to understand that you should be able to listen. At some point, one of you should be able to listen and not interrupting the other person talking. So those are the ways we can manage conflict in front of our kids without spoiling them, without destroying them, because as they grow older, they learn from us. So as I said, respect is non-negotiable, which means that you have to be able to respect both parties, your partner, in front of your kids. You have to be able to listen and don't interrupt them when they talk. Yeah, so those are the points we have to be very. And when you treat each other respectfully in the middle of your children, they'll understand that that's the right thing to do. Yeah, so mommy and daddy are having a disagreement, but mommy is not like insulting daddy. Mommy is not, that is not hitting mommy. They should know that that is just part of life, and mommy and daddy are handling them like in a nice way and in a respectful way. Yeah. So the second point is extremes are not helpful. What I'm saying here is that I know conflict and anger they go hand in hand, in the sense that when there's conflict, there's the possibility to having some anger issues of getting angry. But if you don't keep our anger in check, we might get things off hand. Hi Tessie, welcome. Hi host, hi everyone. Thanks for joining. Happy new month to you, dear. Yeah, so what's your take on this topic? Please make sure you drop your comments in the comment section. Do you argue with your partner in front of your kids or not? That's the topic we have here today. And yeah, we are here just learn, we unlearn, and we grow. So I'm sharing my own thoughts about this topic. Like, I understand that it is not the right thing to do, to be arguing in front of your children. The kind of argument is the one that you attack your persons, you insult, you are yelling, you are hitting each other in front of the kids. That is a no no no. That is a no no no. But just normal arguments, they should understand, kids should understand that yes, those are natural things that they happen in marriages and in life as in general. So if you say yeah, it's not good, I understand everybody will be saying it is not good to argue in front of them, like thinking of that kind of argument. But if you handle it in a nice way, it is a great way for kids to learn from us, because our kids, they learn a lot from us. So as I was saying, that I was explaining the second point, supporting the fact that it is okay to argue in front of your kids if only we are putting these points in place. Like, we should know that extremes are not helpful, in the sense that argument, like putting anger, is a bad impression before the kids. Exactly. Yeah, it's a bad impression. Exactly. But if you do it in a responsible way, kids will learn from it. That's my take, Tessie. If you're arguing with your husband in a respectful way, you are able to listen to him talk, you are able not to interrupt him talk. Kids will understand that yes, it's okay to have a disagreement, but you should be able to respect each other and don't interrupt the other party. And And they learn from us, and they know that it's normal that they'll encounter these things in their lives, and they should be able to handle it in a respectful way as well. Because if you just conclude that it is not good to argue in front of them, and they don't ever see us argue, they will not learn. Because I shared my experience where, coming from a polygamous home, I've never seen my mom and my dad having an argument, but I saw my mom and my stepmom in so many occasions, like having an argument, which I also shared the lessons I picked from them. And one of them was that they used to argue, and I don't see them throwing those bad words, insulting their persons. And the other lesson I learned from them was that, yeah, since they don't insult each other, means they were focusing on the problem at hand. They were focusing on what they are disagreeing on, not on their persons. And another lesson I learned from that was that they never let kids like us step in. Their argument was just for them. It was not none of our business, which is really good. So as us parents, when we do, as I said, it's okay to argue in front of the kids, but we should not let the kids step in to take side with either mommy or daddy. We should not attack our person. We should respect each other, you know. And then the second point was extremes are not helpful, in the sense that we know when there's argument, though, there's bound to be anger, you know. But and if we don't keep our angers in check, things might go off hand, and we might end up like yelling or calling names or physically hitting the partner, which is something which is very, very bad to do in front of our kids. Yeah. So the third point is avoidance is not an option. This still goes with the same point that it is, there's no way you say that you will never have an argument with your partner. Gregory Butos, hi host, how are you? I'm good, thank you so much for joining. Happy new month. Nice to see you. Yes, what is your take on this topic? The topic we have at hand, you know, is it okay for parents to argue in front of their kids or not? To me, it is not okay. And again, it is okay if we do it the right way. So I am kind of like in the middle of this topic. It is not okay to argue in front of them. If you know you cannot be respectful to each other, if you know you let your anger get over you, that you end up yelling or screaming or calling names, or you end up physically hitting somebody, that is not okay. Oh, another point is avoidance is not an option. Like as I said, having an argument in front of your kids, their kids should be able to know that argument is part of life. Conflict is part is normal in any relationship, in marriage. So having those conflicts and able to manage them well in front of your kids is good for them. It's okay because arguments are natural, but on the other hand, full blown arguments should be done in private. Exactly. That's just my take on this topic. Yes. Yeah, some people just say, no, no, don't argue in front of kids. No, to me, oh, sorry guys, what? I keep saying no. Okay, you guys go eat. Go now. My ask her to give you guys food, right? Go now. Because rice and dollar. Or drink cereal, okay? Go now. Mm. I'm sorry guys. I totally agree with you, Gregory. You know, we should not just say argument in front of kids is bad or it's not. No, to me, as I explained earlier before, that when I got married, I was like, I want to have an argument free home. You know, it happened like during the early the years of my marriage. You know, but when I started having kids, my husband and I always argue on things concerning kids, not like things that really is affecting our person or concerning us. You know, and I think having to handle those things in front of the kids is also, is for them to learn that is very natural, as you said. There will always be conflicts in marriages, and our kids should be able to understand that it is okay to have those conflicts, and they should know how to manage them in a very respectful way. So us just saying that it is not okay to argue in front of them, they should not even know what is happening between mommy and daddy, is good. And at some point, it's not helping them in their lives in future. That's the way I see it. Yeah. So I was saying that, yeah, to me, having an argument in front of my kids is just another way to teach them, to for them to understand that it is okay. It is just in life in general. It is okay to have arguments, and but you have to learn how to handle them in a nice way. As I said, I never saw my dad and my mom argue at any point. I cannot recall, but I can recall so many times that my mom had arguments with my stepmom, and that was a great lesson to me. I learned a lot from their argument, because they'll argue now, just 5 minutes after they'll be talking to each other. That was a lesson I learned from them, that it is okay to argue, and they argue based on something. They disagree on something and they agree later. So those things are, nobody is perfect, right? Those things will always come out, that you have to talk, or you have to talk with somebody, to talk with somebody about something. But it should not get to that point where you be talking, there will be something at hand to talk about, but you'll be attacking by the other person, which is not right. And at that level, it is not right to do that in front of our kids. I'm doing that, though, that's a bad lesson for them to pick, which will not be helpful for them in future. So I learned a lot from my childhood, growing with my mom and in a polygamous home, that there's no way you can say you just have to avoid, because when you keep avoiding things, you keep piling things, and they'll end up, they'll explode. I learned that it is okay to have, and to see something that is not right, and you step in, you ask questions, even if the other person will not take it right or take it normally, but you should be able to just see something and talk. You guys talk about that thing that you are not comfortable with it. Because if you don't, because you are saying that you want to avoid conflict, but you are suffering within you, those things, when you keep piling them, they'll just end up, you just spill them at some point, and they'll not come out nicely. That's just the way I look at this topic. My God, 1 second, guys. Let me think. I need a drink of water, guys. Just a moment. Hello, hello. I see you. I see one person joining me right now. Let me know who you are, please. I'm just waiting for my son to give me a glass of water. I need to drink. I'm having like dry throat. So you joining, or you watching at the background? I welcome you. And what's your take on this topic? Okay. Yes, as I was saying, guys, I said from the lessons I learned from my mom and my stepmom arguing, I also have these 3 points that I'm sharing with you guys to just to support the fact that it is okay to disagree or to argue in front of our kids if only we keep these points in check. And the first point was respect is non-negotiable, which means that if you are having an argument, you should be able to respect your partner. You should be able to listen. You should be able to listen to them talk and not interrupt them, because when you start interrupting somebody, that's where it can escalate the situation and the person might end up having a serious blown argument, which can end up so badly. And even though we don't feel respect in the hearts of the, like, I understand that respect is something that is difficult to have, like, when you are really having that heated argument, but we still have to try our best to respect each other and focus more on the topic or the issue at hand rather than attacking the person or like throwing insult or hitting the other partner, doing that it is not allowed, it is not acceptable in front of kids. Another point is extremes are not helpful. What I mean here is that conflict, I know conflict and argue or anger is they go hand in hand. And if we are not able to control or manage our anger, you end up find yourself like insulting your partner or like yelling or or ending up hitting each other. So those are situations that if you are able to argue without getting to that point, it is a lesson for our kids to learn and not destroying them. That's the way I see. Like, I don't think my parents arguing when they were arguing in front of us has had any effect on me, because I instead learned that it it was it's because it's something natural. Arguments will always come up, but the way they handled the arguments was a great lesson to me. And I've been applying these lessons in my own marriage with my own kids, and I think it is okay to argue in front of our kids if only we put all those points, all those things in check, like not letting our kids step in or join our arguments or supporting one of us, or not like arguing about something and attacking our persons or insulting each other, like leaving what we have, the issue at hand, and talking or insulting, throwing other insults about things that don't even concern with talking about the argument we're having, the issue we're having at hand. And also to know that argument, as I said, is natural, is part of life, and it's not the end of the road. You should be able to argue with your partner and still life still goes on like normally after an argument. Yeah, not like, and we should not like avoid conflict in the sense that yes, you don't want to argue in front of your child, your husband just throw a terrible word at you in front of your kids, and you just take it normal because they want to argue in front of them, and you are having that grudge in you, and you end up transferring maybe the aggression to your kids. So I think the right way is that, because if your husband is throwing a word at you in front of your kids, those kids they hear them, but you should be able to respond to your partner in front of them in a nice way, like just letting him know that what he said is wrong, and I know. And if you actually in the course of responding to that or responding to him, and you are able to maybe you raise your voice at him in front of the kids, you have to make sure that later you call your kids behind and like tell them you are sorry for mommy and daddy were not at their best, and then that you should let them know that you are trying to be at your best, you know. They should know that even an argument between you and daddy in front of them is a since arguments are natural part of life, those things will always come up. But if you do that in front of your kids, maybe your partner, you raise your voice or something, let your kids know that you are sorry for that. Apologize for them for doing that in front of them. When you do that, they learn from that. They know that it is not right to do that in front of them, especially in that manner. So that's the way I see at this. Ooh, Celeste in the building. How are you doing, sis? Now I'm seeing whether I'm focused on my camera or I'm looking at myself. How are you? Happy New Month, dear. Nice to see you. When I watched that video, I was like, oh, maybe I'm not always like looking at the camera, or maybe I'm not always looking at my viewers, right? I know it's hard sometimes to really focus on this camera here. I know I'm not really doing that all the times. Yeah. So what's your take on this topic, my dear? So I was explaining my own experience that like growing up in a polygamous home. I have never seen I have never seen my mom like argue with my dad. I cannot recall any incident of that sort. Like, but I can recall, now I can recall my mom always argue with my stepmom. Like it was just something they always do. But I picked a lot of lessons from their arguments. Like my mom and my stepmom, they used to argue, but there's never a time like me, like say a child step in to support my mom or my step siblings step in to support their own mom, which I think it was a great lesson, which we all have to apply like in our own homes. Bingy Roy Vlogs, welcome. Nice to see you. Happy New Month. So I've never experienced that. Like I learned that they were able to argue and they don't like insult their persons. They were able to argue about something at hand, but not like attacking their persons. That was also a lesson that I learned from them. And another lesson, as Celestine is here, she will be my witness. They will argue today, like in the morning and in the afternoon. Maybe they have like a day celebration to go. They will still bring their achu and put in one basket and they go. And when they come home, whatever they are bringing from that place, I know Celestine will be a witness to this. They will still go in one of their step banya's house and sit there and share the food and they even eat in the same plate, which was also a lesson to me to understand that those arguments will always come. Those are natural things that happen. They come with they happen in marriage. So for them arguing in front of us was not like something really bad because they had their rules that it was only when I grew up that I understand that it was really great because I cannot recall them arguing and like insulting each other with throwing those terrible words. And I could not also recall us like bringing kids into their arguments. There was never a day I stepped into just to support my mom. And I don't recall my step siblings stepping in to support their own mom when she's arguing with my mom. So that was a great lesson to me. So I'm here just to say I am kind of in the support that in the opinion that it is okay to argue in front of the kids, but we just have to be watchful the way we handle the situation at hand. So I have 3 points I've already explained before here that we have to respect is non-negotiable in the sense that it is okay to argue, maybe even when kids are present, but if you can argue about a particular issue, even kids as they are growing, they understand that mommy and daddy argue about this particular thing. They will not see that mommy and daddy have this, they are talking about this problem and they are like insulting mommy, insulting daddy, or daddy trying to hit mommy. All those things are not good to do in the presence of kids. But apart from that, if you are able to argue in that respectful way, I think it is okay in the sense that it's a lesson for our kids to understand that Conflict is part of life. Even in their daily life, they'll have conflicts, even with their classmates, or as they grow older, even at workplace, you can have those conflicts. They always come, but you should be able to, they should know that it is part of life. And seeing them, for them, see mom and daddy like manage those conflicts in a very respectful way, they'll also learn from us. Yes, I know some people say it is not good to argue in front of kids, which I agree, just because that person saying that is that having that mind that arguing, like just shouting, insulting each other, not even talking about the issue at hand, just throwing insult, yelling, hitting. That is not right. Yeah, it is very natural and we can't run away from it. Exactly. Yeah. So, and don't tell me that you never argue in front of your kids. That's a big fat lie. I also said, like, seeing my parents, like my stepmom and my mom always argue. I always wish for, like, if I get married, I will pray that my home should be argument free. But for the first years of my marriage, everything was very fine. But when I started having kids, those arguments they started coming. We argue, like, have we disagree on so many things concerning kids, not even about our own personal lives. So it is just natural. It comes without you expecting it seriously. Yeah, those are things that will always happen in life, no matter how we avoid them. So the best way is to know how to manage them, which is what I'm saying here. Like, respect is non-negotiable. You have to be very respectful. Should be able to listen when the other person is talking. You should, like, avoid to interrupt, because it's when you are interrupting the other person that the situation start escalating. And our kids should watch and see how, when one person is talking, the other person is able to listen, not interrupting. They learn from us. And another point was that extremes are not helpful, in the sense that I know conflict comes with anger, and if we let it escalate to that level that we let our angers override us, that's when you see those yelling start coming in, those throwing like personal insult, like insulting your partner, or some people even end up having those physical attacks, which is not really hurting in front of our kids. But if we're able to keep our anger in check and able to do it in a very calm and respectful way, I think it is very okay to have an argument in front of our kids, just because it is a lesson for them. And then the third point is avoidance is not an option. Yes. Instead of staying quiet when there's that issue, it is not a good thing. Like, you have to make sure you tackle things as they come, in the sense, don't shy away to respond to maybe the way maybe your husband just make a statement to you that you are not comfortable in front of your kids. Just because you're in front of them, you should just let it slide down, because as the kids are growing older, they know that if daddy can say this to mommy, it is not right. And why did mommy stay quiet? And so sometimes you stay quiet and you'll be like having that grudge in you, and you might end up, like, you might end up transferring aggression to the kids. So the kids should be able to watch you, see how you handle those situations. Yeah. Yeah, if daddy make a statement in front of the kids, you have to respond. Even at that point, if you respond in a very loud way, make sure was nice joining, sis. Just want to come and show some love. It's almost 10 p.m. here. We'll miss you as live stream. Oh, that's okay, sis. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I know the time difference should be very late there now. Yeah. All right. See you. Good night. Hi, Josie. Welcome, sis. Nice to see you. Happy new month. How are you doing? Yes, today we have another topic to discuss. We learn, we unlearn, and we grow. Yeah, that's all about this channel. We bring topics and we all discuss and we learn from them. So the topic for today, as you see on the title, is it okay to have an argument in front of your kids? That's the topic for today. And I started by sharing my own experience growing up in a polygamous home. Yeah, having my dad got is married to three wives, and I said I cannot recall any incident that I saw my mom having an argument with my dad. I cannot recall that, but I can recall so many times my stepmoms they used to argue with my mom, and I just explained some of the lessons that I learned from them, which I think following this topic, some people will say it is not okay to argue in front of the kids, which I understand. But coming from where I like from my own experience, my parents or my mom and my stepmom they used to argue, and it was a lesson to me which I'm applying in my own home today. Even though nobody likes to argument, nobody likes conflict, right? But I believe when they were doing that, like in front of us kids, it was a lesson to us, which I think they put everything in check, because my mom was able to argue with my stepmom, and I could not really hear them like insulting each other. They'll be arguing on something like explaining, everyone giving his or own opinion about that particular thing, but they don't attack their persons. And that was a lesson to me, which today I am applying in my own home, that we can disagree on something and we can like really argue about something, but not attacking our persons. And another lesson I learned from my parents was that they were able to argue, and I cannot recall any day that I stepped in to support my mom or my step siblings step in to support their own mom, which was also a lesson to me, because nowadays you see so many homes that they get broken because like kids standing with mommy, some standing with daddy, and just because we give that chance for kids to step in to have an opinion in our argument. I know as they grow older, when those things will come out, they will be tempted to step in to give their own opinion, but we parents we should be able to really manage those situations where, because they will never end up right. Because if your child is stepping in to support either mommy or daddy will not be happy if the child is supporting mommy, and mom will not be happy if the child is supporting daddy. So that was a lesson I learned from my mom, as argue with my stepmom. Like we never step into to support our moms. And the third lesson I learned from them was that yeah, those from Africa, since they were like in the village, they could have an argument in the morning, and they had somewhere to go in the afternoon, maybe to attend a death celebration. After their argument in the morning, they were still able to go to that place without having any issues, like without, like, when you argue, we should understand the argument, we should argue, and life still moves forward. So that was the lesson I learned from my mom, because they were just so close, the way that if they have like a death celebration to go, they will just prepare their food and they put in one basket and they go there. And whatever they bring from that place, they'll be able to sit together and share again. Oh, I see moments with Koti. Hi, Sister Koti, welcome. Hi, Give Fashion, welcome. Can't see anything. I can see you now. What? Really? What can you see? You cannot see me. Can you see? Okay, I can see you now. Is everything okay now, sister? Ooh, I didn't know that. Yeah, this network is just giving me hard times in this house. So that those were the three share. All right. Thank you, sister. Always. Thanks for the support. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, so those are the 3 points, the three lessons I learned from my mom. Not letting kids to step into their arguments, not attacking their persons when it comes to arguments, not letting that argument stop them from doing their things. And I think those were those three great points, lessons that I learned from them. So when I got married, I was like, I don't even want to have I wanted to have an argument-free home, because I can see now. Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to have an argument free home, but I know from the early stages of marriage, like when I got married, everything was very fine with my husband. But when we started having kids, those arguments started coming. And I just like, at one point, I was like, yes, I know it is not good to have those arguments in front of kids, but new to your house. Oh, thank you, dear. Thanks for coming. I hope you have connected with me. Just make sure you watch one of my videos, and then you support me by subscribing to my channel. You are very welcome. Yeah, so when I got married, as I said, I was not having like arguments with my husband. Like when both of you are still not having kids, everything is just so rosy, rosy, rosy. But when I started having kids, all those things started changing. We have arguments about kids, you know. But I still stand with the lessons I learned from my mom and my stepmom, that it is okay. Arguments or conflicts are natural in marriage, in life as a whole, But if I don't do these things, or say I'll argue with my husband in the room, how will my kids learn? Because I think I learned a lot from like seeing my parents, my stepmom argue with my mom, And I think it is a way for me, if I argue with my husband, it's a way for my kids to learn as well. But I always put that in mind, those three lessons I learned from my parents, that yes, it is okay to have those arguments. It is okay that conflicts are natural and they are part of any relationship, you know. Even as the kids, as they are growing older, they should know that they'll have conflict, even at workplace, but they should know how to manage this conflict. So I was so worried about like making sure my kids should have that, to know how to manage conflict. So I do argue with my husband. When those arguments come, we talk in front of them, but in a respectful way. So I was explaining 3 points here that I always put, like, it's a yardstick for me, and I don't go beyond that. Like, I know that respect is non-negotiable when it comes to arguments in front of your kids. I make sure that we argue about something not affecting our persons. You should argue with your partner, and should be able to, if you are arguing, you should be able to listen while the other person is talking, and don't interrupt, because those conflicts, those they escalate when we start having those arguments, or interrupting another person talking, just raising your voice. So I am just so aware of those points, and make sure that even we have those issues or those things to argue about, we should do them in a respectful way, in a calm and a very nice way. Even in the presence of kids, I know they learn. As they grow, they understand things a lot. So if they know that mommy and daddy argue about this thing, they understand that there's something we are talking about, a particular something, not them hearing mommy throwing insults on daddy, or hearing daddy throwing insults on mommy, or daddy hitting mommy. No. So we are very aware of that. So I am for the opinion that it is okay to argue in front of the kids if you are able to put everything in order. But if you are the type that you cannot do in a respectful way, it is not good. It is not good to do in front of kids. So another point was, extremes are not helpful, in the sense that I know when there's conflict, there's always that feeling of anger, but we have to make sure we keep our anger in check. We should make sure our anger is an emotion, right? We should be able to put our emotions under control, because if you don't do that, things might get escalated. You might end up yelling, you might end up insulting your partner, or end up in a physical fight, which is not good. Oh, Frank G, welcome. Yeah, no, it's yeah, know that it is not good. No, it is not good to argue in front of the kids, if I get you right. Yeah, I know it is a no, no, no. If you are not keeping these things as I'm explaining here in check. It is a no, no, no to argue in front of kids. So, yeah, those are the 3 points from the lessons I learned from my mom. I'm also applying in my own home. And I think that is the best way to do in a very respectful way, making sure you put your emotions under control so you don't start yelling, you don't start insulting your partner, you don't start, you will end up in a physical fight, which is a no, no, no in front of kids. Another point is to avoidance is not an option. Oh, Kathy Chook's series, welcome sis, because kids will disrespect you and your husband as they get older. Yes, that's another point. Yes. From the lesson I learned from my parents, as I said before, I'm from a polygamous home. So my mom used to argue sometimes with my stepmom, but there was there was no, like, sometimes even though make some statements that I feel like is kind of mean to my mom, I would like say, my mom, why are you not like, before I even mention or utter a word, my mom would like shh, she always like just say stop, don't say anything. And which is good, because if you are having an argument with your partner and letting your kid step in, it is a no, 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 because they will definitely take a side, and which is not good. This generation today is really bad. Sarah don't end. Welcome, Bo. Welcome. Happy new month to you guys. Yeah. So we are talking about this topic, and I think it is a no, no, no. If you cannot put those 3 points I'm talking here in check. So the third point was avoidance is not an option. I am saying this like, as we know, conflict is very natural. Those moments will always come when people will disagree on something. But don't try to avoid those conflicts. There are some people who say, if you have an argument with somebody, or maybe you are in the living room with your kids and your husband just throw a word that is so mean to you, and you say, no, just because we're in front of the kids, you should not respond, right? Or say maybe you go in the room and handle it. Maybe after some time, that thing will just slide off, or your heart will just get cold, and you will not, you see like there will be no need talking about that thing. But that is an issue there that you were supposed to handle it right away, but you just let it slide by because of kids. And that statement that your husband made to you or your wife made to you, their kids, they heard that is a bad statement. That's a mean word from mommy or daddy, right? And daddy did not say anything. They'll just consider, they'll think that that is normal. When they grow up, it's okay for their partner to just talk to them anyhow, which is wrong. So we should not avoid conflict. We should be able to be ready to to tackle those conflict as they come. As I said, in this situation, if your husband or your wife just make a statement in front of their kids, which is not right, you have to handle it right away. I know sometimes when those statements come, like you respond, you might yell or might make a statement which is not right, but you should go back to, if you have to do that or yelling to your husband, make sure you go back to your kids and say you are sorry, you apologize to them. Let them know that mommy and daddy are just trying, they're trying to do better. And I think that's the best way to do. But just letting it slide by, it is a no, no, no. Yeah. So to me, tackle it as it comes and in a respectful way. Because when we do that, kids, they'll learn. They'll know that daddy is not supposed to say that to mommy. Mommy is not supposed to say that to daddy. And mommy attack or responded like right away. And that issue was resolved. But if you just let it slide by, you'll not end up well. And that's how the kids will grow up thinking that it is okay for somebody to just talk to you anyhow. Yeah. If you and your husband are disrespecting each other, the kids will think it is right, disrespectful you. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because some people say, no, it's not good to argue in front of the kids. But those moments will come, that a statement will just come out which is very disrespectful in front of the kids. What should you just let it slide by? That's my point on that avoidance is not an option. Don't avoid conflict, because When you start avoiding conflict, you start having those grudges in you. And maybe if the moment you want to air them out, they'll not come out right, they'll not come out in a nice way. And you can also end up like transferring aggression to your kids, because if you're not happy because your husband or your wife made a statement to you, you end up be like nagging to your kids. Kids very smart these days. Exactly. Yeah, very very smart, and they learn a lot from us. And they understand, that's what I'm saying. Like, I with this topic, I choose not to say it's bad to argue in front of them. I choose to say is because our kids are very smart. Because if you keep saying that, yeah, I don't want to argue with my husband in front of my kids, yeah, those kids, they know, or they'll think that that is life. Life is just like that. They should not experience those conflicts, and which is, I don't think we are doing any good to our kids. They should know that conflict is part of life. They will have to face all these things in their own marriages too, and they should be able to know how to resolve those conflicts. They should have those conflict resolution skills in them. That we should have to impact them with those skills, with those values, that they should know that their partner should not just talk to you anyhow in front of them. You should be able to tackle that problem right away. That's a big lesson to our kids. Yeah, kids very smart these days. Yeah, exactly, Frank G. Yeah. So another point is just keep your anger in check, as I said, because emotions, that is the main problem, like, which makes things escalate in during arguments. So we should not let our emotions control us. We should be able to control our emotions. We should be able to keep our anger in check all the time. So you are having an argument with your husband and in front of your kids. It is also a lesson for them too. I have my first son and my daughter, they always like argue. I let them know that it is okay to disagree. But once you disagree, look for a way to resolve that problem in a calm and respectful way. That is, if you come to my house, like I always make that statement in my house. It is okay to disagree. Yeah, because you cannot say just living with somebody, especially with couple, you like from different backgrounds. There'll always be those moments that those things will come up, and we should look for the best way to manage them, even in front of our kids. But we should do it in a very respectful way that will not cause any harm to anybody. And that will also be a lesson to our kids to understand that those conflicts are parts of life. They are natural. They'll experience conflict as they grow older, and they should be able to have those conflict resolution skills in them. That's just my take on this topic. So I'll put my phone number if anybody maybe want to call to contribute or anything. So that's a number there. If anybody wants to call and contribute on this topic, you are very welcome. If not, then I might round up this live stream now. And I appreciate everyone who has supported me by contributing, by sharing me out, by dropping a comment or a like on this live stream. So I really appreciate everyone. And I'll end this live stream right now. So see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.